President Xi says hope for U.S.-China relations lies with the peoples. In an age of globalization and the internet, our community of shared destiny will only become closer. Rather than call them refugees, let's call them villagers of Village Earth who have found a new home. We are seeing levels of like Eastern or Orientalism that would put a 19th century Britain to shame. You know, the way Zoomers have been talking about the Red Note app. Have you seen like a bunch of young people on social media being like, hey, I saw there was a reply from an upper middle class Han Chinese on Red Note that said that their police are good and don't brutalize people. Can you believe that? Over here in America, police brutalize people all the time. Where's Radical Dino? Radical Dino, you said that you were worried about people being like negatively polarized into saying insane shit about China. Like the one guy I saw who said that China has no homeless people, even though even the Chinese government doesn't say that. You were right. It took me 2 days to get fed up with it. It's so bad. It's so bad, man. This is why the US is banning TikTok or anything from China. Just simple chats with the average Chinese people on Xiaohongshu. Just the average Chinese people.
Because I've reached the part in this whole like class consciousness part where I'm just filled with the most impotent rage. And like,
that's great, man.
I'm talking that white hot, I need to sink my teeth into something in face. They don't have to spend 20% of their paycheck.
Oh my God. Okay, hold on.
Because what do you mean? That it never had to be this hard for us? Like, what do you mean in other countries they don't have to spend 20% of their paycheck on groceries? What do you mean?
I think that in America, the average percentage of your paycheck that you spend on groceries has been going down over time, and I think it's considerably lower here than it is like in many other parts of the world. Yeah, this is a classic Westoid Orientalist moment, as though people in poorer countries spend less of their income on groceries. God, Americans are so spoiled. How are you unironically going to drop class consciousness, the term class consciousness, and then do Treatler discourse? Like, shouldn't your class consciousness be informed by like a fundamental Marxist class, conflict-based perspective on the relationship the proletariat and bourgeoisie have to the means of production? The fact that like the surplus value of labor is extracted and so on. Like that whole rigmarole, not my private burrito taxi costs more than it did in 2016. I am Adolf Treatler! I will defend the Chinese Communist Party and their brutal crackdown on the Uyghur Muslim people if it means a reduction in the price of my private burrito taxi.
In other countries, everyone can own homes because they're not paying $2,000 a month in rent or that their mortgages.
Man. Canada's still pretty bad, man. I think this is being talked about in relation to China, which is like one of the reasons why homeownership is relatively high in China is because up until like the 1990s, the country was almost ubiquitously poor as dirt. There was absolutely no demand for the land people were holding. So of course like this would be like, did you know back in 1850, like 99% of Americans owned their homes or whatever? Sure. Okay. Not really the same dynamic. It's not really like reflective of wealth.
Aren't like their entire paycheck. What do you mean that people in China work one job and they don't even work 40 hours?
That's true, man. Just a balmy 24 hours a week. The suicide nets, those aren't suicide nets outside the factory windows, okay? Those are fun trampolines, you know? They're basically the Chinese equivalent to like when tech companies will have a big slide in the foyer of their new building. It's just like a fun way of getting down, you know? They kind of like bounce from net to net. Who's gonna tell her about the kids? You all do understand that this is Orientalism, right? Like, if your radicalization experience is briefly talking to Chinese people on an app, just any random Chinese people, there are 1.4 billion Chinese people. You could be talking to anyone. You could be talking to Chinese Hitler. You have no idea. You have no idea. And then they, in broken English, are like, yeah, no, things are good here. You know, you're probably talking to the people who either got sent over here to UCLA and UW to get an American degree before going back to China, or the people who are about to.
and they can easily afford their life. And then I'm over here working 60 hours a week, just me as a single parent, to like barely make ends meet, and I'm penny pinching every single second, and like there's so much of life that my kid misses out.
Is this girl bot? I mean, she might just be kind of stupid. I don't want to be too mean because this is mostly like, she's not being evil or whatever. It's just like, for the 100 billionth time, man, China is a capitalist country. It is less developed than the United States, and like many other less developed countries, you could go over there and you could buy land much easier because that land is less valuable. Like, yeah, it's, the idea though that like Chinese people are working fewer hours, come on. Come on, man. You can accept that the United States is a shithole without making these like stupid comparative assessments. If anything, right now, our government is currently Chinifying because we have a dear leader who is surrounded by an oligarchical cabinet of billionaires that support his political interests. The CCP openly works with their ultra-wealthy to support the interests of the central government. Chinese people work so much harder than Americans, let's be honest. Oh my God, yes, it's China. It's just weird and racist. It's like the modern equivalent of people being like, before white man came to America, every native lived in harmony with the land. They would smoke peace pipes, and once a month they would do their hunt to sustain the village for the entire rest of the month. And it's like, dude, come on, man. They weren't fey creatures. They were people like us. They played with the buffalo. No! They're just dudes. Don't be weird.
Out on and that I miss out on because of money and like work and no social support net. And you mean to tell me that it didn't have to be like this? They keep us in these chains on purpose, and it never had to be like this. Like
I feel like we could levy these criticisms at our incredibly unfair and unequal economy without pretending China's better. Like, it's just, that's it. Like, what it's is she fake crying? It's TikTok. I mean, whatever.
I did everything right. I went to college. I had to drop out of college to take care of my mom when she was sick because, again, no social services, like no safety nets. Well, I mean, as we discussed, they have safety nets outside the factory windows. I don't know what social safety nets they have in China. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see. There's a community note on this. People in the US spend 6.7% of their total consumer expenditure on food for consumption at home. The figure in China is 20.1%. On average, workers in China also work more hours in the US, 2,174 per year to 1,757, or 41.8 hours a week to 33.8. Sheesh. Again, like, it's, why undermine the points with the, I don't know, the Westoid entitlement, you know? It's not even close. It's not even close. My dad worked his whole life and died and left everything to my mom. My mom was disabled and she lived on credit, and like she barely made ends meet, and she did everything she was supposed to. And I did everything I was supposed to, and it just keeps getting worse. It was never supposed to be like this. And I'm so angry that it is.
The music makes this so dorky. It just makes me worry that for most people in the modern world, where people have shorter attention spans and people are really brain poisoned by media, that they aren't capable of processing class analysis without having like a good guy to beat up the bad guy that is America. Like, you can't have a person who develops a sophisticated understanding of the economic forces that are suppressing them, because that's not like, well, actually China's the good guy and America's the bad guy. The forces are the same in both countries, man. Average annual labor hours per worker in 2017. TikToker who talks to an upper middle class Cambodian learns that Cambodia is actually a paradise and makes a crying TikTok about how they barely work any hours over there. Myanmar, Mexico, Malaysia, Singapore, Bangladesh, Costa Rica, South Africa, Hong Kong, Thailand, China, right up there at number 11.
Because what do you mean?
Whoa, what?
I've spent...
What? I didn't tell you to start playing again. Elon? Vietnam, Philippines, India, Pakistan, South Korea, Malta, Poland, Indonesia, Greece, Colombia, Taiwan, Chile, Russia, Hungary, Peru, Sri Lanka, Israel, Latvia, Portugal, Estonia, Lithuania, Croatia, Turkey, Nigeria, Romania, Cyprus, Czech Republic, and then finally the United States. We're still pretty high up there. We work a decent amount. I wonder where France is. You know, we know what they're like. New Zealand, Ireland, Slovakia, Japan, Austria, Italy, Brazil, Ecuador, Canada, Argentina, Spain, United Kingdom, Finland, Slovenia, Bulgaria, Australia, Sweden, Switzerland, Uruguay, Belgium, Luxembourg, France, all the way down here at the bottom. Iceland, Netherlands, Norway, Denmark, Germany. 1,353. Okay, I gotta say, Germany, where the do the productive Germany memes come from, man? You guys gotta bounce this shit. This is crazy low. This is like, what, 27 hours per week on average? You gotta bump that shit. They're super efficient. Ah, it must be that. It's all those Alpine Southern Germans who are bringing the numbers down. Northern Germans are out there working 72-hour work weeks, and Southern Germans are, I don't know, enjoying cappuccinos at 9,000 feet above sea level. Man, it must rule to be a Mediterranean. Except if you're Palestinian, I guess. Except for Palestine, it must rule to be Mediterranean because your blood makes you lazy and people can't get mad at you about it without being racist. The Mediterranean, the sea air of the Mediterranean that makes your food tasty and it makes you lazy. We work a lot. Our numbers are skewed by small business owners working all day in cafes. That rules. Born in the wrong geography. They're so me.
So much of my life working so hard to scrape by. And it never had to be like that. My suffering was at the expense of someone else becoming wealthy.
Yeah, I'll take a look at the meme. How Americans think Europeans live.
This is a day in the life of European people. Yeah, so like first thing I do...
Ill-fitting slim fit suit. I do. You're right. This is how I think Europeans are.
...is wake up and go to a cafe to eat a large, nutritious breakfast. At 1300 o'clock, it gets hot, so I just lie down. I don't like to stand up. I don't like to work. I just like to lie down and think about culture. Then I cross street as pedestrian in any way I feel. After that, I lie down to take nap, and when I wake up, I feel tired from nap, so I lie down to take a nap. At 1500 o'clock...
Is this a joke? Because I know some Europeans. This isn't really that funny. European spotted. Totally, John. How does it feel? Are you grumpy because you just woke up from your nap?
Clock, I drink 1 Aperol Spritz, and then I go swimming in very big, oversized swimsuit. At 1600 o'clock, I think about protesting government because we work 22 hours per weekly, which is so crazy. Like, we should only be working 12 hours per week with full healthcare benefit and 8-week paid holiday time and 9-month paternity leave, even if I don't have baby. I am not excited or impressed by anyone or anything. I have been jaded since time I started smoking cigarette at 11 years old. And then I danced to German techno for 11 hours, and that's my...
It's pretty true, except for maybe that last part. Forgive me, but this just comes across as jealousy. Well, your accusation that it's just jealousy comes across as defensive, European.
Because they could. And I am so angry about this. It can't stay like this. It doesn't have
I think the music
like
should
this.
be more dramatic. How do you guys feel about that? Why is rent $2,000, childcare $3,000 a month? Are my kids' speech therapy apps $800 each? Why is my heating bill too? It's a lot. It's a lot to throw out. I don't really know, lady, to be honest. A lot of questions. Speech therapy apps? I don't know. I don't know anything about speech therapy apps. I can't really comment on that. She sounds like she makes bad choices. I'm not here to like really shit talk her, I guess. It's just like the degree of Orientalism of people. Like literally nothing in this would be wrong. It would just be like kind of, I don't know, overly dramatic, I suppose. If it wasn't for like weepily, you know, why is it that in China everyone works 5 hours a week? Why do they have such a good social security net when we don't? What do you mean? Was Red Note just a psyop? Nah, it's just like young disillusioned people. China has no single moms. Well, China has no moms, actually, because they're not reproducing. There are a lot of people, that Japan Lamau racist. It's both! China's population is going down now. It dipped for the first time in a while.
Hello, fellows. In my last video comments, Some of you share your medical bill, and that the cost of ambulance shocked me, man. Look at this, $9,000 for an ambulance and the insulin. That's like a 3 month of income for an average American. And this, $900 just for an appointment and painkillers. In China, it only costs about...
I think you're underestimating how much this mindset comes from Americans not understanding how much better their standard of living is than most of the world. I don't think it's Orientalism. No. That is the Orientalism that I'm referring to. The idea of China as this mystical, far-off place that's not subject to the same, like, underlying economic forces. It's like because of the cultural, linguistic, and, like, firewall barrier to China, it gets imagined as this, like, far off better place. If they were really so incensed and freaking out about like how land is cheaper or there's better healthcare provisions in a place, why aren't they talking about, I don't know, North Macedonia or whatever? Hey guys, did you know how cheap rent is in North Macedonia? Like, China's a developing country. At least a large part of it still is. So you know, I think the reason why you're seeing them latch onto this narrative over there is because it's this like mystical antagonistic place, like antagonistic to the United States. I unintentionally got into a conversation about police brutality in the USA. They were shocked police weren't seen as upstanding members of their communities. This is not a drill. Chinese people... Okay, this is also Orientalism. There are 1.4 billion Chinese people. You are on an app that is largely used by like college students and well-to-do, young, hip Chinese people. This is not a drill. Chinese people, the duplicitous Chinese over in the Great Orient are learning that we find homeless people. I repeat, so on and so forth. Chinese people, bro, like 1/8 of all humans live in that country. Like 1/6. Okay, but it's a joke. Why is this one account posting so much shit?
$10. And this. In China, we never worry about the ambulance charges. Today, I will show you how much the ambulance costs in Shanghai, which is the most expensive city in China. Let's look at this table I made by using the official data. You guys can take a screenshot for later review. This is why some Chinese followers commented...
They charge you for an ambulance in Shanghai? That's up, man. Any amount is too much. American soldiers went to Red Note app and started posting kinda sensitive videos. I don't really think that's kinda sensitive. Is this guy a Chinese propaganda account? Yeah, they are. Gaza ceasefire and this, Trump just showed Biden really is the worst US president in recent history. I just spoke to Chairman Xi Jinping of China. The call was a very good one for both China and the USA. It is my expectation that we will solve many problems together starting immediately. We discussed balancing trade, fentanyl, TikTok, and many other subjects. President Xi and I will do everything possible to make the world more peaceful and safe. I will add the top Xi emote. I love to balance fentanyl. Yeah, it's just like a pro-China right-wing account. Extreme what now? Don't worry about it. You people are so easily distracted. Remember that Red Note is intended as a restaurant review and travel app that's primarily meant for women users. It's basically bougie travel blog app. Isn't that the reason why it's available on the App Store? Because traveling Chinese people want to be able to use it so they can talk about like what's cool to visit while they're in, you know, Paris or whatever. No wonder the Chinese government wants to wall them off. She pretends to be a Uyghur who's a loyal, upstanding citizen of China who definitely has the evidence. I don't know what you're referring to. Think of how beneficial it is to have a bunch of Americans saying how shit their country is. Yeah, but like, Americans already think their country is shit, you know? Everyone complains about the country. Like, and no one's happy about the future. You know? You have to like properly direct people's antagonisms. Trust me, there's nothing less Marxist than people channeling their criticisms of American economic inequality in the context of, well, China is doing it better. That's not the way forward. Not even close. I think they meant good for Chinese domestic propaganda. Oh, sure. Oh, sure.